need to understand a few basic things about this. And I'd like to remind you of something that's already been written in The Power of Now, and that is that your life consists of what you call your life is usually your life situation. Your life consists of your life situation, which is your job, your financial situation, your relationships, your living situation, your health situation, whether you're young or old, or whatever is happening in your life, all that makes up your life situation. And for most people, that's all there is. They don't know anything else. Their whole life consists of what they call my life. When they refer to my life, they're talking about their life situation. And in The Power of Now, I differentiate between your life situation, which is one level, and a more fundamental level that I call your life. We are going to talk about these two levels today at a time when, for many people, their life situation is becoming challenging. They're encountering new limitations suddenly coming into their life situation. The only difference between our present situation in the world and what normally happens is that many people experience similar things at the same time. So many people at the present time experience some form of challenge or limitation coming into their life, as many of the structures, the external structures in the world, are becoming shaky, and some have collapsed already. As you may remember from A New Earth, I speak about the collapse of Soviet communism, which nobody could have predicted, and I speak of the impending collapse of many of the structures that are ego-based, that are an external reflection of an inner state of consciousness, that is the ego. And those structures, which of course includes financial structures and so on, are now beginning to collapse. And something totally new will arise. How long this collapse will take, I cannot say. But everybody can clearly see, and even the experts are talking about systemic, I hear this word on the radio, the systemic crisis or something like that. In other words, the crisis is not to do with this or that on the surface of things, but concerns the very structure of these organizations. In the same sense that the human mind, the problems of the human mind, have not to do with content of whatever is the content of your mind, but the very structure of the mind, the human mind, that needs to change. So, for many people, limitation in one form or another is coming into their life situation. And that is actually not what the media wants us to believe. These things are dreadful. The challenge that many people are encountering at this time is actually that which will push them into a new state of consciousness. That is the possibility, that is the promise Whenever you encounter a crisis situation, whether it's personal or collective, there is the opening into a new way of being. The possibility. It doesn't mean that everybody will embrace that possibility. So we need to first of all not believe what we are told in the media, that we should be in a state of fear. That the only response, the only natural response to what's happening is a state of fear. That is an unconscious response. We need to see that change is absolutely necessary in this world, and the dissolution of many of the ego-based structures is absolutely necessary for the planet to survive and for humanity to survive. So what's happening is not dreadfully bad. What's happening needs to happen. The totality, the intelligence behind phenomena is doing it. So it is a good thing, and if challenges come into your life, which might mean limitation, financial limitation, you may have to move somewhere else, you may have to downgrade, uncertainty may come into your life. Oh, that shouldn't be happening. I should know what's going to happen for the next 20, 30 years of my life. Well, you don't know anymore. And that is wonderful that there is suddenly an opening into uncertainty. So is it possible for you to embrace uncertainty and not demand that you should know what's going to happen to you in your life situation? To embrace not knowing, to embrace uncertainty, and to embrace, yes, there are difficulties, there are challenging situations, but that is part of being here on this planet in this form. I'd like to remind you of there's a book called The Road Less Traveled, and I never got to read the whole book. I basically got stuck on the first 2 sentences of the book, and those first 2 sentences of the book were so good that you didn't need to read anymore. I don't know whether that's a good thing for an author to write such a good book that all you need is the first 2 sentences. And if you don't get that, you can still read the rest of the book. But if you get that, well, so the first sentence is, life is difficult. Okay. And the second sentence, I don't know literally, but it says something like, and if you know that life is difficult, and you accept that life is difficult, it's no longer difficult. It's difficult if you say it shouldn't be. But if you go with, yes, the uncertainty, this is part of being here in this form, there is continuous uncertainty, and the certainty, the rigidity of things is an illusion. The certainty that all these structures are solid, and you can sometimes see it, that the certainty, the World Trade Center looked very solid, and gone. And all the structures, the big banks, they looked so solid. Nothing could possibly happen. They're there forever. And within a few weeks, they're beginning to crumble. In Soviet communism, nothing looked more solid than Soviet communism. You say, this is so rigid, it can't possibly, it must at least survive for another 1,000 years. The rigidity of it and the people who embodied that, it's not going to move. When you saw the Soviet rulers greeting on military parades, huge tanks and rockets going past, nothing can be more solid than that. And within a year, collapsed. The whole thing collapsed. Now, one good thing, of course, about traveling to India is that there the external reality is a little bit less solid than in the West. So you're less likely to delude yourself that you live in a solid reality that can be controlled or that you can be in control of, there you see the structures are actually a bit shaky everywhere. And even if you go into a luxury hotel, you never know what's going to happen. So we are learning to go with the flow of things, as the expression goes. And the flow of things is fluid. It's not a continuous change. Something new is arising. And why demand that there should be certainty in your life? Be open to uncertainty and see how empowering that actually is. And not say, okay, but what about my pension plan? What the mutual funds? I had saved all my life and now, look, I got the statements, I lost 50% of it. Yes, so, but you're still here. That's your life situation. Whatever happens, your life situation. And you may remember a year ago you were looking at your mutual fund and said, wow, it's made so much money. It's great. It feels good, and then you look at it again. Oh, okay, now I can relax now. And then you relax, and then the next one comes and says, oh my God. Life is difficult. Things are dissolving, and see, if you resist internally what is happening, as the media teaches you to do, then of course you resist the flow, you resist the arising of the new state of consciousness primarily in you, and eventually the arising of new external expressions of that state of consciousness, a new world. We don't need to be concerned about that. That comes of itself. What we need to be concerned about is to be open to this transformation, to be open to not knowing. So there's our life situation, and it's interesting. There may be interesting changes happening in our life situation, and we say, that's fine, whatever change comes, you look at the situation and see, yes, or suddenly a limitation is coming into my life. I lost my job and my investments are not worth that much anymore. Okay, then how can you overcome these limitations? Limitations can be overcome always on two levels. There is the external limitations. Limitations can be overcome on an external level. And other limitations can only be overcome on an inner level. So you need to see whatever situation you encounter in your life, is there anything I can do to overcome these limitations? It might involve moving somewhere else where you don't have a huge mortgage anymore. It might involve moving to a different location. It might involve finding a different job or thinking outside of the box and doing something totally different you'd never even thought of thinking creatively. So whatever limitation you encounter in your life, you look at first of all at the externals of the situation. Is there anything I can do? And then you become still. And then you start thinking again. And you look at the situation. What are the possibilities? Then you become still again. Then you look again, you think, or you talk to someone. And then you go back into stillness. And that process may take a while, not necessarily just a day, of looking what it is that I can do, and going within where you're not looking for anything, but become comfortable with what is here and now. And when you become comfortable with what is here and now, you're stepping out of your life situation into life. Life is now. Life has nothing to do with what's going on in your life. It has nothing to do with past and future, or what your relationships are, or what your financial situation is, or your living situation is, or even your health situation is. That's all your life situation. That is not life. Your life situation exists in time, past and future. Life is now. So it is vital that you learn to step out of your life situation so that periodically, so that your life situation does not absorb your entire attention continuously, because if it does, it will drain you and eat you up, because you'll have continuous stuff to think about, one problem after another in my life situation. And after you think, oh, now I have to, what about that problem and that? And you're thinking about, there's a continuous succession of problems that I need to worry about. And if I don't worry about it, it's all going to collapse totally. Even worse than it has done so already. I need to be responsible and worry. You're being eaten up by your life situation. Your mind, it comes down to your mind. Because your mind gives power to your life situation. The continuous involuntary mind activity really is your life situation. If you don't think about your life situation, there is no life situation. What situation? You step out of that periodically, vital to learn that, and come into life. And then the mind says, what do you mean by life? Okay, let's see where that is, that life. You step out of time, your attention, you remove your attention from past and future, okay? How do you do that? Well, a little help would be, what about now? What's wrong with now? Do I have a problem now? Now? Of course I have a problem now. Look at my bank statement. Of course I have a problem now. I need to move by the end of the month. I got notice. I'm not talking about the end of the month or what's going to happen to your mutual funds. I'm talking about, do you have a problem now? No. I can't see any. I'm trying hard to find a problem in this moment. Well, there's a stain. No, there isn't. I'm just saying, there's a stain here. Is that a problem? No, it's a stain. Okay. I have a backache. I don't, it's just an example. I have a back, is that a problem? Only if you start thinking about it and saying, am I going to have to live with that for the rest of my life? Or why do I always have a backache? I wonder what's wrong with me. No, it's not a problem. It's a backache. It's just that. You stay with what is now. Don't spin some stories about what is now. Don't judge it, compare it, say it shouldn't be. You come into now. So the first level of now is whatever is around you. That's only level 1. Level 1 of now is your sense perceptions. Wow. And that's already a revelation. When you step out of being totally possessed, eaten up, eaten alive by your life situation, and you step out of that into just becoming aware of sense perceptions, you're entering the now, because you can only perceive now. And you're not perceiving any problem. You're perceiving what is now. Sense perception, this room, the people, the incredible variety of human forms. Human forms, amazing to see. every human form is different and unique in some way. It's beautiful. You can sit in a public place and be in the now and watch people. Nothing to do with your life situation. You're there as a presence, watching, perceiving this moment. The incredible fullness of this moment around you in the form of life forms, human life forms, animal life forms, plant life forms, the air, the incredible forms and shapes that are continuously moving, the spectacle of phenomena, unbelievable variety. It's fantastic. And you have no idea that this is going all around you when you're totally trapped in your life situation, which really is your mind. So we are learning periodically to step out of that level that I call life situation and enter life. Life is now. This was level 1 of now, what is around you. Be alert to that. Because otherwise you miss the whole thing, because you're so concerned about your conceptual reality, which really is what a life situation is. You're so concerned about your conceptual reality that you miss reality. Your conceptual reality eats up your entire attention continuously, and you're worrying about your life, which in reality is your life situation, but you call it your life. It's not life at all. And so this is a dreadful fate for a person to be consumed by their life situation. And so they miss the life. They're trying to find the life, the fullness of life in their life situation, and they're hoping that if they can eventually sort out their life situation so that they can find life. But if your life situation is all you have, you're never going to find life, because your life situation is a set of thoughts and concepts in your head. So to become empowered, you need to rise, one could say you rise above your life situation, which doesn't mean you don't deal with things anymore. You still deal with things, but you realize there is a level or a dimension to you that is far more powerful and vital than whatever is happening in your life. So accessing